Our policy decision will primarily focus on the inflation rather than the growth and other factors. Yet, definitely we look at the growth as well as financial stability. But at this moment, the behavior of inflation is the first priority. As for the growth, we are projecting our economy will grow around 1.4% this year and 2.2% in 2024. IMF just released the numbers, very similar to us. Only difference is that they are projecting our growth rate will be around 2.0 rather than 2.2. But when I look at what's the difference, main difference is the assumption of China's growth rate. IMF is projecting China grow will around 4.2%, while we are still assuming China will grow around 4.5%. So let's see how the China's economy or how much is grow. One good news for us is recently we see that the semi-price industry is hitting the bottom and then prices start to go up. And that is a very good news for us. So we have both conflicting signs.
So one of the other topics that we're mentioning quite a lot throughout this week is the geoeconomic fragmentation. And we have noticed that the Korean economy has been pivoting away from China a little bit and is more focused on the US. I was just wondering whether you think this fragmentation could actually be inflationary?
Temporary, yes. I think because we rely on very low price supply from China. And at the same time, it takes time for us to pivot and then, do the transition for the supply chain. So those will definitely contribute for the cost factors to us. But on the other hand, I do not want to say that this shift is purely because of the geopolitical tension. Because Korea has benefited a lot for the last 20 years from the fast growth of China. Yeah. But at the same time, Chinese industry and their competitiveness increased quite significantly. Yeah. In some sense, I think we have to do our soul searching, whether Korea economy has been too complacent for the last 20 years because of the excessively high growth in China. Now, as we caught up Japan in the past, now China is catching up us in competitiveness. Yeah. So in some sense, we need to do the structural reform and also diversify our supply chain and our market. So I would say this is a combination of geopolitical tension as well as the rising of the Chinese competitiveness.
So interesting. I also want to pick up on something I believe you said earlier about semiconductors. This morning we had results out of Samsung, disappointing, a huge profit plunge this year. And let me ask you about the importance of the semiconductor industry to the South Korean economy, but also in this vein, the competitiveness in an environment where you see, the superpowers, US and China, also ramping up their own semiconductor capabilities.
For the time being, semiconductor is one of the largest industry in Korea. And, let's say it's quite a significant portion of our export, but also very importantly, around 40% of our semiconductor export went to China, whether either is a final consumption or as an intermediate goods. So our semiconductor industries, the business heavily depends on China's growth. So that's what I say that we need to diversify. On the other hand, I think, if you look at who are the competitors, and actually both Samsung and Hynix are the two giants in semiconductor industries. So we believe that we can, for the time being, we can maintain our competitiveness. But on the other hand, I mentioned, given this all geopolitical tensions and relocation of supply chain, I think we probably have too many homework to do.